Hello, is this thing on?
We here? We live? We doing this?
The T1T Trio cast, ready for battle?
Trio cast. So we are ready indeed for battle.
Go for it, Pyro. Do introductions.
All right. Just short introductions. My name here is Pyro. I'm also joined here by Celsi and Hollow. We are the That One Team crew. We did participate in this tournament. That was our previous match that you guys just saw. And we're here to ready to cast this next match here for Tinder Fingers Fan Club versus SamlinkEnterprise. So do you want to lead us into this draft, Celsi?
So, right off the bat, I noticed that this game is on Ribbit and they let Tinder Fingers Fan Club get Derple through, Ted, and Penny as a last pick. So that's a little bit questionable in my opinion. That's not to say SamlinkEnterprise isn't necessarily a bad draft, but there's a definite winner here, and I think that's all those eggs are in Tinder Fingers' basket. What do you think?
Wait a sec. We got Swiggins and we got Vinny, who both have CC immunity. So maybe they have something planning on the other side, okay? Don't judge too quickly.
Judging sometimes is a little quicker than most times, but I would say that I think when it comes to these drafts, some things that I want to point out, I think it really is going to come down to just very, very, very quick team fights. I don't really see any brawling happening at all in this. It's going to be really dependent on initiation, either a snare or a good stun on Ted, or like getting the good hook and anchor down on Swiggins on the other team, and then from right there, just unloading skills, and that's it. I really don't see any kind of like long-term battles and things like that, so CC immunity could be really good in that situation. I mean, I remember playing against some Derples at Swiggins, and CC immunity can ruin a lot of initiations. I mean, if they put traps up, hoping for something to happen, you can just eat those if you want. Same thing with Vinny, so it's going to be interesting to see. The only thing that I'll really say is that I guess maybe there's a little bit less push on the blue side than on the red side, just because Ted has a pretty damn good clear. Vinny is a pretty good defender though, but other than that, we'll see how things go. What do you guys think?
I think even with CC immunity, it's really hard to go in on red team right now. They're all like S tier knots, like every single one of them, especially on Rivet.
You're gonna be able to control the middle really well. Derple is just gonna be a camp up top and drop down whenever he's needed, and Ted can just spam airstrikes in the middle the whole time.
Even with CC immunity, like you have to commit to going in with like hook or dash or something like that, and then they have no brawl ability afterwards. Like you dash, you anchor, you drop your stuff. What are you gonna do? Ink spray, Nibs auto attack.
Yeah, blue team's gonna have to focus on probably Swiggins initiating on a Ted or a Penny, and then follow up from the Nibs and the Vinny. Because I mean, in theory, their comp's pretty good. They got some major damage coming out as long as Swiggins can land an anchor drop. But whether they can do that or not on Ribbit is the question.
Yeah, it is going to be really, really dependent on who initiates better first off, I think, to see who gets a kill and gets the advantage from there. So, do you have anything else to say about this?
I do want to say the bans. I think Frog and Sentry are pretty decent bans, but I think on the red side, Genji and Deadlift seem a little less powerful against the comps that they have. So I think the banning could have been better on their part, but I don't think it hinders them too much here.
Yeah, for the comp that they got, the Genji ban I think was decent. I don't think it was really probably the best ban, but the Deadlift ban I'm not necessarily at a loss for, but I think it also isn't really the greatest, because I mean Deadlift is really good against like burst and kind of like shielding enemies against that, or shielding friendlies against that, obviously. But I think for the comp that they were going, I don't think that was really one of their top concerns. Like, I mean, right here, I don't know who would be necessarily better off the top of my head, but it's kind of like not something that I would have expected if I was in this position, I don't think.
All right, should we get down
to it?
All
right, guys, you guys want to count down for the match?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get.
Is everybody at 25 seconds?
Sure thing.
Can do 25 seconds.
Cool. All right, so in 5, 2, 1, let's get this thing started.
Okay.
All right, I'm out of here.
See you guys. 5, 2, 1, but I think we're good to go. But yeah, let's just check out some of the couple first items. I mean, something pretty simple. There is going to be CC immunity coming out on Swigs almost immediately right there. Stun pack also coming out on Ted on the red side, and silence coming out on the Penny on the red side. So it is, like I said, I think going to be a lot of initiation kind of dependent stuff, and we're going to be just going at this right there.
Silence right off the bat, I think a little unnecessary personally. I mean, they're all based on one ability. Even if you do get that pulse off right off the bat, they're just going to be able to use their stuff anyway. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the reasoning would be on that. Maybe preventing counter initiations.
And Swiggins got CC immunity right off the bat as well, kind of predicted. And you can see Durple is still doing the whole drop thing from top to bottom, so they're still controlling mid pretty well. Spamming airstrikes, so they can't go anywhere.
Yeah, they're like very, very aggressive about holding that mid. I mean, Durple seems to be borderline spamming nukes. It seems that's what the kind of the feeling that I'm getting. Like I've already seen 3 nukes in under like 2 minutes, basically, of being out here. And usually, from the most of the Durples that I've seen, it seems that they just want to save their nukes to whether get a snare or like interesting team fight or things like that. But it seems to be just kind of like spin them out, kind of like denying the area, getting some turret damage potentially. Oh, right there, actually, damn. We need a double kill with an airstrike. Actually, that's going to be a wipe.
That is a wipe.
On the wipe 2 minutes in the game. That's going to be brutal. We're going to get
That's going to be that might be a turret down
Questionable
right there,
teleport
yeah.
in by my boy Masslink. Like literally into like 2 of them, maybe 3 after his team died. So not really the greatest call in the world. But.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's gonna be pretty devastating right there. I mean, it is early in the game, so it could be still something to come back from. But it is, you know, literally a minute in, 2 minutes in, and it's gonna be already.
Managed to pick off Durple there, which is a hard task to do on Ribbit.
Yeah, it definitely is. This is, you know, arguably Durple's best map, almost, if not just outright. Just because he can hold middle a lot, CC immunity makes him like not be able to lock down, and he can always just, you know, siege and then go all the way to the bottom, take the jump pad for an easy escape, and has snare traps all the time to make for an easier escape right there through that funnel point as well. There's going to be a little bit of a team fight right there. Maz is going to be taking some damage from the Penny right there. Penny going to be going in, continuing the team fight, and just going to be getting out right there. Almost going to be 2 down, not quite. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like right now the red team is just being far, far more aggressive. Right there, Durple with his sick plays right there, just waiting to see if anyone's going to be right there. But yeah, it's going to be down. Some push going down on the bottom. It's going to be a nice airstrike, and it hit 2 of them right there as well. And then we're just going to be seeing Penny initiating on the Swiggins right there. Not real any follow-up. Weird orb, in my opinion. But it's going to be Vinny going down right there in that situation.
Penny's doing a pretty good job at putting people in their place. Like if she sees that an airstrike is a little off, she'll pounce them into it, doing a lot more damage than she'd do on her own, and just doing a really good job initiating. So I think that's what they need on red team, since really Ted and Durple can't really initiate other than putting traps and stun pack.
No, yeah, but Penny I think is doing also.
The pressure is just unrelenting from red team. It's like they have the traps, but they're also, like you said, with the nuke spam and stuff, they're just like nuke spam, airstrikes, all that stuff. They're just preventing them from going in, and they can't go in. And without that, they're basically nothing. They can't out brawl. And right here, we're seeing a team fight where all their abilities got used, but they have nothing. They can't follow up.
Yeah, you're right. The one who took the most damage was Penny, and she wasn't really in that much danger because all of their stuff was already burned at that point. The worst thing was like auto attacks, and you know, on this map it's pretty escape those, honestly. But now it's going to be a little bit of reset, things going back to the middle. No one really taking real control of the middle. Blue has a little bit of that, but there's going to be an airstrike there, actually. And that is going to be the Swiggins going down just almost in the blink of an eye. He was almost full health. Just a simple dash into an airstrike and he's gone, basically. And going to be a little bit of the team fights, and that's going to be it for now. But yep, red solidly back in middle. Penny going to be going back, just taking Soul Boss for a little bit of extra XP as well as Solar. And we're just going to be
spam coming out.
Yeah, the nuke spam.
Getting just close enough to do enough damage.
Yeah, like Celsius said, I mean, it's kind of like nuke spam, and you know, like I said, it depends on how you want to play. If you want to like save those nukes for like team fights or like good initiations, things like that. But just having the denial of area, because it's against this team who's mostly melee, it's kind of really strong. You know, right there.
Swiggins, it's gonna be a kill. Again,
it's gonna be another kill right there. So yeah, things are looking pretty rough. You know, about 5 minutes in, 6 kills to the red team's name, and already a turret down, turret and a half at this point. Honestly, they're just gonna be pushing that down right now. Turbo's keeping them occupied up top, so you know, free push on bottom for Penny right there, as well as Ted. They might actually go down. Yeah, looks like it is straight up. Yeah.
It is interesting though, when you're kind of in the situation, you have to realize like red team, they're just focused on, you know, maintaining that middle, and they can do poke all day. They can go up, they can go down. That's the pro of having middle, aside from getting the farm as well. Whereas blue team, since they can't control that, they need to focus on singling someone out, and they managed to do that a couple times, but it's not enough compared to what red team's able to do.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of damage. Yeah, that looks like an upgraded nuke. Yeah, they got both stages of damage I'm looking at, as well as explosion size on nukes. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of drop nukes that I foresee coming, and just a couple more damage. Everyone looks like they're getting damage. Penny getting double region as well as hearing snack badge, so she's going to be able to be a lot more aggressive, just be out there a lot for all of her things right there.
She's signed to solar boss.
Yeah.
Swiggins the only one on defense, so I guess it really doesn't matter. Even if he does tie to solar boss, they'd probably be fine off of this.
Yeah,
The characters.
yeah, it's kind of interesting because I mean they are really aggressive at holding the positions in the map. You know, the snare traps are one thing, but just the general positioning, I think like they're pretty good about being in mid, in the creep area, in the solar bus area, and you know right there, there's no resistance really, just tanking down that turret. But you know, aside from like positioning on one thing and being aggressive is another, but like it's what do you think the blue team can even do, if anything, to like maybe turn this back around, or at least frankly offers some kind of resistance, because it doesn't look like they're putting much of a fight.
There's not a whole lot they can do. I mean, what I was thinking is like the best they got is maybe Masslink using his orb to like go in and get some fire breath harass off and just teleport out safely, which is I can see being a little tough to do with silence pulse. But that's like all they got for harass, and that's the best you can do against Derpal, so they basically have no answers. Aside from CC immunity, obviously, but we know how that goes.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because yeah, I mean the CC immunity is one thing, and it's good for like quick escapes and like a little bit of harass. But you know, against Derpal, who's a tank, Ted, who has a lot of health, and Penny, who can just like leave, it's kind of like it's tough. I mean, it isn't quite over until it's over, right? So I think we're kind of maybe giving a little bit too much credit at this point, but. As far as upgrades go, Nibs is going to be getting slow on Orb, double slow on Orb, and then some DOT on her Fire Breath as well. More damage coming on Vinny, and then Octan's pigging into Octan to get some AoE damage from Swiggins right there, too. So, I mean, these are some good upgrades, but I mean, it's kind of relying a lot on team fights and singling out a single person, and Red Team, especially right now, are pretty good about just like, you know, being aggressively holding positions and then just also just sticking together, really. I think that's kind of the big thing that's against the blue team's interest at this point.
I think pigging to Octant this late in the game really goes to show how behind they are.
Sign of desperation right there.
Yeah, I mean, I do have the total soul up, but I don't know what you guys are working with.
I'm getting Robo Pyro.
Yep, Pyro, your mic's breaking right now. But I mean, I think the only thing that blue team could do at this point, I mean, they've lost 3 turrets. They've done literally no damage to the red team's turrets.
Oh my.
They're gonna have to stay back. I mean, they don't really have any other options. They're down 3 levels. They can't get a kill. Red team's just kind of walking all over them.
At this point, I'd be going for the health bar. This might be the final play right here.
Yeah.
Even if they don't get kills off of this, like, what are they gonna do about the push?
So red team just might ignore that bottom turret and just go for the kill right now.
Yeah, they just
picked up that single creep.
Nibs can't defend.
Yeah.
She uses fire breath, but
I mean, they're all range is the thing. Like Nibs really can't do anything. She's just kind of taking damage right there because she's stuck out a little bit too far from the base. And you know, Swiggins for a little bit of defense right there, and that's about all Swiggins can do. Frankly,
airstrikes are on point. These nukes are on point. I'm gonna say it's ending here. They don't really. Swiggins is down to defending by himself again.
Still got a chance. Oh, okay, no, never mind.
So there was some. I think this came down to the draft and some misunderstandings about what makes characters on red team good on this map and how you can't exactly shut them down with a hard counter to a single character.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this is definitely a lot more dependent on the draft, and you know, in our experience, I think that's kind of what we see is like a lot of it comes down to the draft. Like mechanical skill and like positioning in the game is one thing, but playing to a knots and a team's strengths and the disadvantages is also like a huge component of like selecting and like countering and like banning and things like that. So for instance, I mean, a simple example is, frankly, the entire red team could be range characters. The other team really can't. They had basically one ranged auto attack that was effective in any capacitor, which was Vinny, and then again, Vinny can be countered pretty easily by this team that exists already.
His
So
auto attack only gets good in the late game too.
Yeah, and even you have to build into it, and you don't want to build into it that early because you're missing out on straight up damage and things like that. So I mean, it's kind of that kind of sense of thinking. I think that kind of like I don't want to talk down too much, but it's like I think that's kind of one of the maybe not misunderstandings, but kind of one of the things to take away from this match. That a lot of it does come down to thinking like, what does this one specific not do? Are they ranged? Are they melee? What kind of abilities do they have? Are they area controller? This and that, and then thinking of how they go against your team and kind of thinking of that, because it's not only going for like, yes, I want to go for this team because they're good at lockdown and doing this. It's also considering what kind of counters exist and already what are counters that exist in the draft at that point in time. So I think that's something to take away from this.
I think a lot of people go into drafting like thinking that the game takes place in like a vacuum where it's like one or two characters and then your characters, but they don't take into account like the other things that make the character good. Like maybe on paper, Swiggins, Nibs, and what was it, Vinny is really good because you go in on them and you use all their abilities and they die, but they don't take into account that there's two other teammates that are probably going to be there and be able to like counter initiate or do anything else to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. Well, Hollow, do you have anything else to say before we
You
wrap
guys
this up?
did a pretty good job. Those closure statements there.
All right, sweet. So yeah, this is gonna be it from us. We're gonna be here casting the next match coming up, but we're gonna be transitioning a bit. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna take a quick break and see you guys on the other side.